The world is going to bring out your triggers. As life progresses, it's going to bring out all the parts of you that you like to avoid. It's going to bring out the subconscious patterns within you that continuously keep you trapped in cycles of suffering. Fortunately, you can actually heal these parts of yourself and experience greater amounts of well-being. The world is going to poke you in certain ways, almost like how one puzzle piece fits perfectly with another puzzle piece and they're able to just kind of click. It's going to poke you in that sort of fashion in ways that will just get you to react, get you to suffer. And it's not that the world is doing anything wrong. The world is basically just doing what it's actually always been doing. The world is going to be showing you your own patterns, your own beliefs, your own unconsciousness that leads to suffering. Right? So the world is really just doing what it is. It's doing what it's always done. Your triggered state, right, is one of contraction, fear, ego, delusion, reactivity. All of this projects onto the world that it's really bad. There's something fundamentally wrong with it, when in actuality, right and wrong are relative. Right and wrong aren't anything you find in the world. Like there, I'm pointing to wrong, and there I'm pointing to right. They're relative and they're subjective judgments. And when something doesn't really go our way, right, it inconveniences us. We get triggered, right? Life doesn't go according to our agenda, right? And we experience frustration, for example, right? This is what I'm talking about when I say that the world is going to bring out your triggers, right? You go to get on a plane, but it's late, and then you miss your connecting flight, and now you're pissed off. Or some plan doesn't unfold in the exact way you had in your mind, and you start to get frustrated. So life and just the natural flow of it, it's going to just poke you in places that you need to be poked in order to actually heal those parts of you. And in no other way would you have really been able to see them if it wasn't for certain experiences triggering you and making you get reactive, making you suffer, right? The problem here is that we as humans like to avoid all of our pain to a dysfunctional degree. We like to cling on to certain things that make us feel comfortable and secure. And this leads to the typical Western lifestyle of gambling and partying way too much and just drinking alcohol and watching TV and just eating ice cream and junk food and just living a very numb existence. Right? We really don't want to feel the ups and downs of life. We don't feel secure in it. And what I'm saying to do in this video is to allow yourself to really feel these ups and downs of life. Allow life to really poke you and trigger you so that you can heal. Allow life to really hit you so you can really sink really far down so then you can bounce back up. Because this is just the flow of life. This is the world of duality. Right? There's no avoiding this. It's either you can ride the waves of life or you just numb yourself to it, the good and the bad. What I mean by good and bad here are just the things you want and the things that you don't want, really. Right? So the world didn't do anything wrong. Right? The world has been existing, energy's been moving, things have been changing. It's doing what it's always done. Right? It's when you're triggered and when it doesn't do what you want it to do, now it's bad. Right? And then when all the things are going the way you want it to, now it's good. So these concepts of good, bad, right, and wrong are relative to your ego's agenda. They don't just like exist right there in the world, and they're useful concepts. It's just that we have to understand that they're not absolute. They're not really like objectively existing there. It's relative to the person's developmental stage. People are at different levels of development, different levels of consciousness. So you can use the world to open you up. Right? What does this mean? When you get what you want, you feel nice and open, right? You like that. You like it when you get what you want. When you don't get what you want, you close down, you get bitter, you get frustrated, you say this sucks, the world is terrible. You begin to develop this bitter attitude over time, which just reinforces your suffering. And all of this pain is really pointing you to where you have shut down within yourself, and it's pointing to you exactly where you have to heal. It's just that when we don't have this lens that I've just given you, we just stay stuck in our patterns of just like, it's bad, things like this. And usually this kind of stuff is instilled in us in our early childhood experiences. And then they literally just play themselves out on repeat for the rest of our lives. This is basically what's going on with most people. So you can use the world to open you up. When it closes you down, investigate your own closures. When things don't go your way and you close up and you contract and you get scared, right? That fearful reaction and that physiological contraction and the sensations and the mental resistance of this shouldn't be happening and all this phenomena, you need to actually mindfully bring your attention to it and really begin to feel into it. Because all of this stuff is existing inside of you, and it's going to lead to suffering, right? So when you get what you want, you open, right? Notice your openness. Notice like, oh, this is what it's like to actually be open to life, right? And when it's taken away from you, or you don't get what you want, notice your closure. And you also got to notice that the opening and closing is something that you're doing. It's not something that the external world is doing. Whether you fall in love with life or you hate it and you think the world is just hell, these are things that you're doing. And of course, there's truth to both of those perspectives, of course. Right? Because the truth in those perspectives is relative to the person's ego. It's not absolute though. Right? So notice that your opening and closing is something that you're doing unconsciously. The world is just activating these triggers so you can become conscious of them rather than being controlled by them. Right? What I'm really pointing to here is, of course, the pattern of chasing pleasure and avoiding pain. Right? When something painful occurs, when we don't get what we want, when things don't go our way, close. When things go our way, pleasure, open. Right? So don't use the world, right? Don't use the material world to just remain on the unconscious cycle of constantly chasing what you want, pleasure, and avoiding what you don't want, pain. This is just an endless cycle fueled by an unconscious, basically repressed emotion inside of you. It's fueled by your own unconscious pain that you don't want to actually embrace, right? There's healthy pain and unhealthy pain, right? We can say that unhealthy pain is like stabbing yourself in the chest, right? I'm not saying to embrace that pain, like don't do that. What I'm saying is that the emotions of lack, fear, guilt, shame, sadness, embarrassment, all this shit that you have repressed over the years because you couldn't properly self-regulate, now that you're a grown adult and you're not a child anymore, you can actually go back and clean this up. Yeah, you can clean it up, right? And your body will actually start to not feel tense anymore. You notice that your shoulders are like almost always raised, or your heart is closed and contracted and tight, or your gut is tense. There's like a clench and a hold there. Right? And if you really pay attention mindfully to almost everyone in your body, there's like an overall sense of contraction, tightness. There's not an openness and a lightness, only in certain experiences. But this isn't like the normal state. What I'm saying is that you can rewire yourself so that it's the normal state. This is a thing that you can do. It's completely possible. Right? So you don't want to just use the world to remain trapped in the cycle of like chasing more pleasure, getting what you want endlessly, and then avoiding what you don't want, and avoiding pain, because of course the world doesn't actually work like that. You're going to run into a situation where things just don't go your way, right? And either you're going to struggle and fight against it and suffer, or you're just going to open up. You're going to let go of your self-agenda here in a moment like that. The attachment and the rigidity that you had around your self-agenda, right? So don't just use the world to remain stuck in this cycle. Use the world to become conscious. When something doesn't go your way, right, and you close, use this opportunity to actually become aware and conscious. When things do go your way, really feel into like the beautiful emotions that are happening, right? Really bask fully in each and every experience, being grounded in it, being really fully present, it actually being in your body, fully feeling the emotional ups and downs, rather than numbing yourself to the entire experience across the board. Right? Have the courage to actually wake up instead of habitually numbing yourself through distractions, porn, junk foods, being a workaholic. Right? So use your situations to wake up and be aware rather than being on autopilot and letting unconscious conditioning rule your life. Right? And I'll give you some more on getting what you want. Right? There's nothing wrong with getting what you want. That's not like what I'm talking about here. I'm not saying you repress or deny your needs in any way whatsoever. Right? That's not what I'm saying. It's just that sometimes life doesn't unfold in the exact way that you wanted it to, and your ego suffers because it clings on to its agenda in a very rigid way. That's the core problem that I'm talking about in this video. Eat food, get the connection you need, get the knowledge you need, take care of yourself, get the self-esteem needs you need. Get your needs. Get your needs met, please. For the love of God, don't ignore your basic human needs. It's just that your almost neurotic and dysfunctional attachment to your self-agenda and things going the way you want them to in step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Life is not linear like that. Life is absolute chaos. Energy is flying in all directions. The flow of life just moves. It just dances. It just expresses. Right? We can't reduce life to a 5-step plan for happiness or like well-being or anything, a good relationship or a good career. Life just doesn't work like that. So a little more on getting what you want, right? Life would suck if you actually always got what you want. Even if this cycle of always chasing what you want actually works out, how long will it be until you just get bored and then you just want something else? Right? Every time you ever got what you want, has it ever actually fulfilled you? Whether it was that person or that money or that gift or that status, that recognition, that validation, of course, right? The answer is no. It's never really began to satisfy you in a deep, meaningful, and lasting way. That's because deep, meaningful, lasting fulfillment happens through long-term development. Raising your consciousness, raising your psychological development. Right? So I want you to think back to Christmas when you were a kid, assuming you had a pretty decent childhood. Right? Christmas was amazing. Why? Why did you love Christmas so much? Because it was like the day where you got everything you want. It was the day where like you got 20 things that you wanted, and that's why you were so excited to wake up Christmas morning and go under the tree and there's so many presents and you're like, oh my God, there's like 10 things for me. This is amazing. Whereas if every day was Christmas, you wouldn't care at all about it anymore. There's no more fun. Right? So really there's something more important here than your self-agenda, than just getting what you want and avoiding pain, what you don't want. It's the flow of life. It's the rhythm of existence itself. It's the agenda of nature itself. Align your life with this. Align your life with what is true, with the actual organic and natural unfoldment of existence. This is a possible thing for your life. This isn't poetry that I'm saying, although sure it can be interpreted like that. It does sound kind of sweet and poetic. It's really not. It's an actual thing to be conscious of and experience. So the next time something doesn't go your way and you get triggered and reactive, right? Investigate it. It's just pointing you to parts of you that need investigating. It's as simple as that. The next time you get what you want and you feel so open, really fully feel that experience. Bask in that experience. Right? And use your opportunities and situations and experiences to actually heal and learn and become more conscious, rather than to just remain trapped in cycles and patterns of closure, right? Patterns of just being rigidly attached to your agenda, right? And of course, like I said, this doesn't mean denial of your needs. Like, please, for the love of God, don't misunderstand me. It's not what I mean. Please get your needs met in a healthy way, right? Actually care about them. Have some love for your basic human needs in your own being. Of course, what I'm saying is a little bit past that, right? Assuming that you're at the point where you've developed enough to be able to let go of your mind's rigid agenda for life. Assuming you're in a position where you can actually let go and just flow with life, right? Actually listen to the agenda of life. Listen to the unfoldment of nature and the flow of the universe, rather than your ego always struggling and fighting against it. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. You can also apply for one-to-one coaching. Link is in the pinned comment and the description. Take it easy.